Has Martin Bakole been found out, or was this just stupid? In this video, I'm going to analyze and react to Joseph Parker knocking out Martin Bakole in the second round of their heavyweight fight. And I want to talk about the decisions that were made in the build-up to this and look at whether or not this was something that would have happened no matter what the circumstances were. I've got a pretty strong opinion about this one, guys, and I'm going to get into it in this video, so stick around with me till the end as I dissect and analyze what happened as Joseph Parker stopped Martin Bakole. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to A Guy Called Henry. Guys, I have to do this double upload because I have to talk about this fight. There was a lot of clamor around this fight. There was a lot of noise around this fight. Obviously, Daniel Dubois was supposed to fight Joseph Parker. He falls sick a couple of days before the fight. They're scrambling to find a high-quality, last-minute replacement, and Martin Bakole steps up to the plate. He says, I'm the man. I'll get in there. I'll do it. And there was so many questions about it before the fight. What shape was Bakole in? Was this a cash grab? Was this a good decision? Did he have enough to beat Parker? Is this a bad matchup for Parker? What does Parker have left? So many questions, and I got a few answers. Before I get into those answers, don't forget to bang a like on this video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to A Guy Called Henry if you're new. And please, even if you're an existing subscriber, please hit that notification bell because I want you here with me as soon as possible when I post a video. I want to have conversation. And normally, as I say, when I've posted, I'm around to reply to comments. So I love the chat. I love getting into it with you guys. And no opinion is a bad opinion unless you're being an idiot. So you know how we get on this channel. I'm just joking. Whatever you want to say is welcome here. And finally, please comment in the comments section below. Has Bakole been found out? Do you think that actually he would have got knocked out no matter what? Or was this an absolutely idiotic move for his career? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And let me know what you think about Joseph Parker as well. But anyway, let's get into this, guys. So you might think that's quite an aggressive statement I've opened up with there. Was this effing stupid? Has Bakole been found out? And I'm still searching for that answer myself, but I have some pretty strong feelings about it. Now, I have to start by saying that when I looked at the technical and tactical elements and aspects of this fight, I did that in my my video, how fit is Martin Bakole and can he beat Joseph Parker? I did that before the fight. I talked about the fact that Bakole's biggest attribute is his punch output, and he would have not had that for this fight. And I also said that we know that Bakole is extremely hittable, and I've seen him hit, but I hadn't seen him hit by anyone who punches as hard as Joseph Parker does. We saw him absolutely bully and menacingly stand down and face off against Jared Anderson. He just absolutely mauled him, and he took clean shots from him, but Anderson was just too lightweight in that fight. Bakole was too big, too strong, and that was an example of why there's weight classes in boxing. Not everybody's an Usyk. Not everybody can give up, 30 to 40 pounds on the guy they're fighting and be okay. Now, in this instance, Parker was giving up close to 50 pounds on Bakole. Bakole coming in at 310 pounds. Bakole's best fighting weight is closer, it's somewhere between 260 and 280. So he had a crap load of excess weight on him. And frankly, in there, he looked like a bit of a beached whale at times. And that's not unfair to say. He was so heavy going in there, 310 pounds. I saw him on a cheap set of scales on the male's Instagram page. He was 315 the day before. So might have just been a bit of water weight from traveling, a bit of food in his belly and whatnot. But massive size difference. But this was heavy for Parker too. And I will talk about Parker. I will talk about this weight for Parker and whether or not I think that's a good weight for him, because for the Zhang fight, he weighed in at 247. So he put on nearly 20 pounds for this fight. And it was an interesting strategy. But regardless, I'm going to talk through what happened in the ring. And then I'm going to give you my opinion about whether or not this should ever have happened. And what I think would have happened under normal circumstances. So the first thing I have to say is that Bakole looked very friendly in the ring. He was sort of like saying hi to Joseph Parker, big smile on his face. And if you're sort of wondering, is this guy serious? Is he here for a cash grab? It doesn't really make you feel like he's not when you see him behaving that way. Like there was a lot of questions before the fight, the people around him, they won't have made that much money off Bakole so far. So was this just like, let's grab this opportunity, let's go and make a quick buck, chuck him in there. And, we've always got the excuse if he hadn't trained properly. But look, no matter what, guys, when you lose a fight like this, it affects your credibility. Even if you've jumped in there on late notice, which he did, it still affects your credibility. Now, but going into it, there was a lot of questions around how much had he trained. And we saw in there with the stoppage, with how quickly it ended, with the weight he was in no shape, absolutely no shape. And I will talk in a minute about what I think the effects of that lack of training will have been, other than just the weight. So they got in there, and the first thing you notice straight away is how easily Parker was stepping into range. With ease, stepping into Bakole's range, getting his front foot really close, and firing in body shots. That was round one, and it was super easy for him to land on him. And, you saw that with Anderson too. Anderson was easily landing body shots to Bakole. He was stepping in and landing some good punches. Bakole was just eating them up, but he did get hit a lot in that fight, Bakole. It was just that he was like, I'm too big and strong for you. You can't really hurt me. It's not happening. But Parker at 267, he looks like a good puncher. I'm not going to lie to you. He looks like a good puncher. The only really exciting moment for Bakole was at the end of round one. He threw that lead left uppercut, which it's a weird punch for him because he seems to be able to generate so much power without his body even really being in the right position. He doesn't even really have to dip to the side to get leverage on it like a normal fighter would. He just sort of slings it up, and it's quite powerful. But he'll sling one up, and then he'll sling the next one up. And because of the way you slip the left uppercut, you slip to your... If someone was slinging left uppercut, I slip to my left, and then I'm lined up perfect with the right uppercut, and he slings in this right uppercut, and he hits Parker on the chin. And Parker took it well, but that was a little moment of excitement. You think, damn, Bakole might actually have something in the tank here. He might be able to hurt Parker. And I think that whilst, yes, Bakole has slow feet, and this was something that I forgot to mention in my pre-fight video that someone sort of commented on saying you didn't mention Bakole's feet being much slower than Dubois. It's true, but Dubois' straight line speed is very, very good. I said this in my breakdown for that fight. Bakole's feet are slow, but Bakole is good at cutting off angles. He's very good at slinging hooks, but I don't think he can do the kind of cutting off I'm talking about when he's that heavy, because Parker's lateral movement was good here. You know, he controlled the range easily. He was twitchy, and then he would just roll out to the sides, create lateral movement. I've seen Bakole stop that before. When he's lighter, he can sling in these hooks. He jumps around you. He creates angles. But when he's that heavy, there's no way he can do it. I saw him at 299 pounds against Takam. I believe he had an injury in the build-up to that fight. And Takam doesn't have the legs that Parker has. He doesn't have the punching power that Parker has. He didn't have as much left as Parker had. So Bakole was able to just kind of stand there, shoulder roll. He'd have his low lead hand. Takam could never really capitalize on it. He couldn't get into range quick enough. Different story with Joseph Parker. Much more disciplined, much quicker feet, much more athletic, much harder puncher. In that second round, the writing was on the wall straight away, because what we saw was Parker, as Bakole was stepping in with that low lead hand, those low hands, Parker was just getting his head off the center line and pinging in that right hand. And because Bakole does have his hands, I mean, he holds the right hand fairly high, but because he's quite square when he steps in a lot of the time, that lead hand is low. Parker was able to just get his head off the center, dip to his left, and throw that right hand straight up the middle and crack Bakole right on the chin. There was a couple that he landed. The first one was kind of partially blocked, landed okay. The second one caught him clean. Bakole sort of shakes his head like he didn't do anything, steps forward again, tries to act all fearsome and menacing. And then, it just shows you anybody can be knocked out. And I know Bakole's been stopped before, but in that Hunter fight, it was a grueling war, lots of punches thrown. And he was stopped, had a bit of an injury, I believe, so he was stopped eventually. But that last one that Parker landed to the top of the head was really clean. And it was so funny watching it. It was so strange. I say funny, it wasn't actually humorous. It was just weird seeing Bakole, the way he sort of, it was almost like, am I getting knocked out? Like it was like his body took a minute to accept that he'd been hit that hard. He sort of stumbled back and he was like, whoa. And then he just wobbled and went down. And it was kind of crazy to see. But Parker hit him super clean, super hard, and he fully deserved that stoppage. And it was easy work for Joseph Parker at the end of the day. Now, in my pre-fight prediction, I said Bakole might be good for sort of 4 to 6 rounds. And after that, I see Parker taking over. And I really thought Parker would just sort of box disciplined early on here. But at the same time, I guess it was kind of clear to see that Bakole, no matter what shape he was in, could be hit quite easily. The thing that really stops him being hit as much normally is his offensive output, because you know he's going to try and hit you every time you step into range. Normally, he's a lot more active with his jab as well. So did the lack of stamina play into it? I'm sure it did. The big thing that the lack of training would have done for me was the lack of sharpness. He didn't look like he really had his range, Bakole, and he only got 2 rounds, so he didn't get time to find it either. And I think that was smart from Parker. It's like, he's not going to have sparring. Just get in there and take him out as quickly as you can. And I'm sure he was told to do that by Andy Lee. Just get in there, get comfortable in round 1, and then when you realize you've got your range, when you realize it's not that hard to hit him, just take him out. And that was what he did, clean as a whistle. So the first thing I want to do is try and answer that question. Has Bakole been found out, or was this just effing stupid? Well, it might be a little bit of both, because I always felt that Bakole was there to be hit by a proper heavyweight puncher with good feet like Parker. But at the same time, this was also effing stupid. He's gone and made a lot of money, fair play to him, and I respect the bravery of getting in there like that. But honestly, the people around him, they should have looked at it and gone, he's never going to win this fight. He's not ready for this fight. Because the only reason I was sort of saying, well, does he have a chance? Is because I had no idea what condition he was in. None of us had any idea what condition he was in. And we found out pretty quickly, as I say, beached whale. That's what it reminded me of. He was absolutely enormous in there. So I think it was a really bad decision from his team. They've made a bit of extra money, but what? For what? To get knocked out, to get stopped, to come out of the fight with no real extra kudos other than being a brave person? We don't need that. There's enough bravery in boxing already. Everyone knows boxers are brave. We don't need to know that they're brave and that they're warriors. We need to know that they can be the best and win. And I think this has probably only damaged Bakole's reputation. Now, there will always be that big asterisk of, oh, well, but he didn't have a full camp. He wasn't fully fit. He definitely wouldn't have had sparring. He wouldn't have had that sharpness going into it. So that does make a huge difference. And I, as someone who thinks about this sort of stuff, will think about that when he comes to fight the next guy, and maybe when he fights someone of Parker's level again in the future. But for the casual viewer, they're not going to think about that. They're going to look at the record and go, oh, he's lost. He got knocked out by Joseph Parker. Easy. Parker's lost to lots of guys. Is Bakole that good? Loads of people were saying Bakole would get found out here. So my feeling here is that even if Bakole was fully fit, he has those hands very low. Parker would have hit him, but it's the ability to land shots because you've got your range and your timing, and it's the ability to have that high output that he has that is his number one attribute. The fact he doesn't have to load up very much on his shots. They're heavy hands, and he can throw loads of damn punches and set, a tempo on someone that means they don't want to step in that much. And they'll get punished when they do. On the way back out, they'll get punished. I just felt that Bakole probably was like, I don't know how fit I am. I'm a bit worried about my range. But look, ultimately, we don't know. But I don't think it was a good decision. I think this was a poor decision from Bakole's team to put him into this fight. Look, he's made a lot of money, good for him, but I think he would have probably gone and beat... Well, I assume the Jagba fight's still happening, so he'll go and beat a Jagba, and then maybe he can get back on track. I'm sure Riyadh Season will give him another chance as well, because of that. He's done them a massive favor, let's be honest, jumping in there like that. So, and I saw a rumor of his pay packet. I think it was only a few £100,000, which... For the rumored purses on these cards, I don't know if that's true, but that absolutely shocked me. I was like, that's not even particularly good money, but then I guess... Bakole's probably never made that much before. Although I thought he would have made a fair bit to fight Jared Anderson. So I'm really not sure. The one thing I will say about this, and this is about Joseph Parker now, I thought Joseph Parker at 267 was actually in the perfect shape for this kind of fight. When you're fighting someone big, who comes forward, who's hittable, who you know is going to leave gaps and expose himself, I understand why he came in at that size for Dubois now. It makes a lot of sense. He looked pretty sharp too. Didn't have to do that much. It was only a couple of rounds. But his movement still looked good and sharp, and he looked alert. And obviously, he, another 20 pounds of weight on you, you're going to punch harder for sure. So I thought that actually Parker looked great. I think this adds to Parker's resume. I think that you still look at his last few opponents and go, there is an asterisk against all of those. Beating Zhang. Zhang got that one shot, but we know he can be outworked. It was a good performance, though, for sure. We'll talk about Zhang Kabayel when I do my full card breakdown. Brilliant fight, by the way. And I did fancy Kabayel for the win there. I didn't put it out there, unfortunately, but I had it on my bet slip, which didn't come in. But anyway, I fancied Kabayel and he did well there. But there was the Wilder fight. Wilder now looks totally shot to bits. And now this, and it was a short notice opponent. So there are asterisks against most of Parker's wins recently for me. But at the same time, he's looked good. He's looked good doing it. So you can only say fair play to Joseph Parker. Now what I want, get that Dubois fight made again. Look, Parker took barely any punishment in there. He'll be fit as a fiddle. Dubois will recover from this virus. He'd probably be good to go in a couple of months, maybe less, maybe 6 weeks. So I wouldn't mind a quick turnaround. I don't know how quick you can do, let's say 8 to 12 weeks. But I want him to get that fight on again because I want to see this Joseph Parker in with Daniel Dubois. That's what I really, really want to see. And I'm really disappointed I didn't get to see that fight. Especially now that I saw the shape Bakole came in. It just kind of put a dampener on it. And this card was still great, but not having that legitimate co-main event where both guys have done a full camp, both guys are fully ready, there's no excuses. I really felt that it lacked, it missed that. And I'm not going to complain about the card because it was great, but I'm just saying I would much rather have had that Dubois fight, and I'm disappointed. And honestly, I feel a bit disappointed for Bakole as well, because now there's going to be all these questions about him. He's got absolutely ice there. And I know he got up, I know his coach pulled him out, but it was a huge punch, and he would have got taken out shortly after that. I'm absolutely certain of it. And I think the coach doing that as well let you know he knew exactly what condition Bakole was in, and it wasn't any sort of condition. So disappointed. Hopeful that Bakole will come back and show us what he's all about. Hopeful that he'll prove me wrong, that actually this wasn't always an inevitability, that he was missing some of his biggest attributes in there, and that actually with a full camp, with the full sharpness and everything, he wouldn't have got knocked out like that. But at the same time, like I've always said, technically and tactically, I've always seen big holes in Bakole, and it might have just taken a puncher like Parker with... I mean, to be honest, it's more the feet for me mixed with the punching. Might have always just taken someone like that to take Bakole out, but I'd like to think it would have been a lot more competitive with a full camp. Anyway, guys, please get in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of what I've said. Do you think that Bakole has been found out? Do you think this was a terrible decision by his team? Do you think he'd do better if he had a full camp? Or do you think that he's just that hittable and a guy like Parker was always going to get to him? What do you want to see next for Joseph Parker? I know there's talks of the Usyk fight. I think Usyk schools him. I think it's an easy fight for Usyk, and I don't need to see it, but at the same time, I wouldn't begrudge Parker that fight. I want to see him against Dubois still. What do you guys think of that fight? There's also the idea of going and making Dubois Usyk now, or maybe even Dubois Italma. Try and get Italma, that record of youngest heavyweight champion ever, break Mike Tyson's record. That appeals to me a great deal. But I'm always going to be left wondering what would have been seeing Parker that sharp, seeing him in that shape, what would have been against the Dubois. I think that would have been a fantastic test for Dubois. And now it makes me think even more it would have been a fantastic test for Dubois, having seen what Parker looked like in there. The speed, the power. I would like to have seen it. But guys, let me know what you think. Please get in the comment section below. I really want to hear your thoughts on this because I have, I don't know. I just know it was a bad decision. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And as I always say, on to the next one.